Hi guys, and welcome back to another video for Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis. In today's video, we're going to be continuing our series of guides for beginners to NGS, focused on different weapon types. And today we're going to be looking at the launcher weapon for the Ranger class. Now, at the moment, there's a campaign running in NGS, which is encouraging you to level up specifically for Hunter, Ranger, and Force. So I thought it'd be a good idea just to cover the other range weapon. We've already done a video on assault rifles, so go and check that out on the channel if you haven't seen it already. But today we're going to look at the launcher weapon, which is the other weapon that Ranger uses. So we're going to look at the basic moveset, then we're going to look over the Photon Arts, and we'll also look into any skills that affect launcher as well. So just to get straight into it, so launcher is kind of a heavy weapon that Ranger uses. It's kind of like an underarm bazooka, really. So it's generally quite good for taking out groups of enemies, whereas the assault rifle focuses typically on single targets. Bazooka specializes more in taking out mobs. So the first thing we'll look at is the actual basic move set. So your standard combo with launcher. See, it's basically the same animation over and over again. Where you do this weird spin. I've got no idea why you spin before you fire. It's a really strange quirk with launcher. But yeah, you basically spin around, fire a shot off. You can see it is quite slow. And when the shot hits something, it'll detonate, and that detonation has a little bit of an AoE range to it. You can also charge up the standard shot as well by holding the attack button down. And that'll fire more of like a spread shot. So it's quite a versatile weapon in that you can focus on sort of point-blank AoE by doing a normal shot. Or if you've got a spread of enemies, you can charge it up, fire a spread shot off instead. And you can see the charge shot comes out quite fast, actually. You don't have to charge it for very long. That's the basic, the basic animation for the normal attacks for launcher. The weapon action, basically, there's quite a long cooldown on it, but essentially you throw a grenade. I'll come back to how that works specifically in a little bit. But you can see now, I'm trying to use it again now and it won't let me. And if you look at the bottom of the screen, there is a cooldown timer, which I think is normally about 30 seconds. So next what we'll do is we'll look at the Photon Arts. So if we go to launcher, you can see that like most weapons in the game, it has 4 Photon Arts. We have Fallen Impact, Theatre Razor, Multi-Launch, and Divine Impact. So the first one we'll look at is Fallen Impact. So this is launch your Photon Art, drop down an explosive shell in front of you. So if we do this, you can see she kind of fires the gun a little bit like a mortar. It fires a shot up in the air and then rains down several shots in front of you below. You can see it marks a target there of where it's going to land. If you go into the... I don't want to say first person, but the view where you can actually target manually and do it, you can actually kind of adjust where you want it to land. You can't change it once you've started to charge it, like once you've started to actually activate the Photon Art. But say, for example, if I want to attack roughly where this reverse sign is here, if I target it and then do the Photon Art, you can see it more or less lands where you tell it to. But you can't kind of hold the Photon Art and then redirect it. It's not like the rifle Photon Art where you can direct where the laser's going to hit. With this one, it's already predetermined as soon as you press the Photon Art. That's that. The next Photon Art we'll look at is Theatre Razor. So Theatre Razor is fire a high-powered photon laser. By pressing and holding down the PA button, it will continue to fire until PP is depleted. A follow attack will be added when used continuously for a certain amount of time. So this essentially is a huge beam. So it's very, very good for sort of single target DPS or if a boss is downed. So the way it works is if you just press the button, you see it just fires the beam. It lasts for a little while. Uses quite a bit of PP actually. If you hold the button down, you can actually just keep firing it. And it will keep on going as long as you hold it down. At the end, you get that more powerful shot at the end to finish it. You can just hold it for as long as you want to, so you can use as little or as much of your PP as you want to with it. Also, again, if you use this targeting mode, you can actually sweep the beam as well if you go in this mode. It's quite useful. It does actually really decent damage as well. So that, I would say you're mainly going to use that on, if you get down on a boss, it's really good to sustain DPS. You can also use it to sort of sweep enemies as well, but there may be better ways of doing that. So that is Theatre Razor. The next one we're going to look at is multi-launch. So this is fire a continuous volley of explosive shells ending in a devastating blast. Can be fired while moving or stationary. So if we do it from stationary, you can see she just fires a big barrage of shells and then she finishes it with one large shot that does more damage. This is actually really good for taking out small groups. The shells do spread out a little bit, so they're actually really good for taking out a small group of targets. And again, as it said, you can use it while moving. So if I'm moving, you can actually move around and fire it as well. The only restriction is that when you get to the final shot, it does lock you in place for the final shot. So again, I can move around during this part, but then it locks me in place there. So that's how multi-launch works. And then for the last one, we have Divine Impact. So Divine Impact is fires a blast in front of you. The recoil causes you to move back. Charging it will launch a powerful grenade instead. So if we do it uncharged, it just fires a big shot directly in front of you, and it causes the recoil pushes your character back over. So you can actually use it to retreat slightly from an enemy. It's not a massively great evade really, because it doesn't move you very far. If you look at it's only a very small distance it moves you back. But it's probably enough to get out of range of like a basic melee attack. So I would kind of use this as almost like a retreat move. So if an enemy is getting in your face too much, you can just use that to quickly get away from them. What you could even do is you could do this, then go into multi-launch. So if you retreat and then use multi-launch, you can then fire back at them from the distance you've made. So hopefully you can hear me okay, because it's just announced an emergency quest there, so hopefully it's not too loud. So that's the basic Photon Arts. Now, with this last one as well, with Divine Impact, you can charge this one as well. So with Launcher, there's only a couple of Photon Arts you can charge. You can charge Divine Impact, and you can also charge Fear Eraser. I don't believe you can charge Fallen Impact or Multi-Launch. So with Divine Impact, if you hold it and charge it, you can walk around while you're charging, but it is very slow. And you can hold this charge pretty much indefinitely. And when you release it, it fires a much longer range shot that has a huge AoE at the end of it. That's really good for taking out large squads of enemies. Again, the actual charge doesn't take very long. If I start charging now it's ready. So it is only a short charge time on it. But say, for example, you start charging and the enemy spread out a bit more. You could then choose to hold that charge, wait until they gather up again, and then release it. And again, like most Photon Arts, you can use the reticle to aim it as well. Again, if I want to fire at something in the air, I can do that. So it's quite a versatile weapon in that instance, really. So that's a basic look at the Photon Arts of Launcher. So the next thing we're going to look at is any skills that Ranger has that affect Launcher. So if we go into our character info and go to the class skills, so as I always say, these skills for slow landing attacks are always useful for Ranger and slow landing charge, because they allow you to stay in the air longer. So again, if I jump and just let myself fall normally, I fall almost immediately. But if I jump and then fire, I do stay in the air quite a lot longer. And slow landing charge allows you to charge while you're in the air as well. So again, if I do Divine Impact, I fall a lot slower. I do still fall, but it's just a much slower rate than normal. So next up, we have launcher blight rounds. So blight rounds, I've already covered this in the assault rifle video. Essentially, it's a bullet you fire at the enemy, and once that is applied to the enemy will take increased damage on that part that you've targeted. Now, launcher blight rounds just allows you to use blight rounds with a launcher as well, which is really, really useful because it means you don't have to keep switching back to your assault rifle all the time. So next up, we have... So we've got Sticky Bomb Quick Reload. So I mentioned briefly earlier that the weapon action for launcher is a grenade. It's in-game, it's called a Sticky Bomb. It's basically a bomb that you just throw forward, hits an enemy and explodes and does decent damage. So what this does is it shortens the cooldown time between weapon actions. So normally there's quite a long cooldown on this. You can see that when I use it though, at the moment, he throws the bomb forward and there's a 30-second cooldown. So even with this skill, there's still a 30-second cooldown on it. The next up we have Sticky Bomb Advanced. This is triggers an invulnerability period when you use your weapon action. So you can actually use the Sticky Bomb as a kind of iframe. So if an enemy is about to attack you, you can actually use that essentially to, not to parry, but to basically iframe through an attack by throwing the bomb. Obviously that is quite limited in its use because of the extensive cooldown time on the bomb. But if you've got it available and you are going to get hit, then it might be something worth considering. Next up, we've got Sticky Bomb Wide Range. This is increases the area of effect and the potency of the weapon action explosion. So it just essentially buffs the grenade and makes it do more damage. Next up, we have Launcher Charge Grouping. This says inputting a direction forward will improve the accuracy of fire when performing a normal attack while charged. So if you look at this, we've already covered the normal charge attack, which is the spread shot. If I hold forward, you can see it concentrates the bullets a lot closer together. So again, if I do a normal charge shot, it spreads out. And if I hold forward, it's much more concentrated. And what that allows you to do is essentially use the launcher like a shotgun. So you can just get up close to an enemy and just empty the whole spread shot on the one enemy. So again, that is a really good way of doing some nice damage to an opponent. So if you get a down on a boss, for example, and say you've used Fear Eraser, you've run out of PP, you can then use this to get decent PP back, and it's also just nice damage on a single part. So that is quite useful overall. Next up, we have Launcher Attack Reinforce. This is an active skill. What it does is it increases the potency and speed of uncharged normal attacks for a set time. So I might have to add this to my palette, actually. Yeah, so with Launcher Attack Reinforce, so as standard, your uncharged normal attacks, the fastest you can go is this. If you activate this skill, you can see it is slightly faster. It's not a massive difference, but it is noticeable. And these will also do increased damage as well while that's active. Now, I should note this only applies to your uncharged attacks, so you don't get the benefit on your charged attacks. You can see they still act normal. But you can actually see there is actually a visual effect difference. You get this kind of ripple effect that comes off the barrel, which signifies that you've got the increased power on the shots. And then once that runs out, go back to your normal shots again. So next up, we have... That's actually it, actually, for Launcher. So what you're trying to find with Launcher is, with the Sticky Bomb, the way it works is, when you throw a Sticky Bomb at an opponent, it won't explode straight away. It will actually have a delay before it detonates. Any damage that you do then will affect the Sticky Bomb when it explodes, so it'll actually end up doing more damage. So what you'll quite often find is that people will do the bomb and then go into a Fear Eraser. And that essentially is a way of just deleting bosses. So it is a really, really useful combination to do. Obviously, the downside to it is that you do have that long cooldown on the weapon action. Even with that skill, it's still a 30-second cooldown. And I don't believe that there's a way to speed that up. I will say that I'm not as familiar with Launcher compared to some of the weapons in NGS. So if there is anything that is incorrect, please let me know in the comments. Range is not a class I play very often, so it is a bit of a learning experience for me as well. But that's a basic look at Launcher overall. It is quite a versatile class, quite a versatile weapon overall. It's good for taking out groups of enemies, but it does have the ability to focus fire on a single target as well when it needs to. So overall, it is quite a nice addition to the Ranger arsenal. I think that's more or less it for Launcher, though, really. If you do have any questions or anything, just leave them in the comments below. I will try and answer what I can. But overall, that's pretty much going to cover it for Launcher. I think for Ranger, a lot of the focus is it's more on Assault Rifle in terms of skills. There's a lot more nuance to using the rifle and a lot more active skills and passive skills that go with it. While Launcher is to be honest, a much simpler weapon to use overall. There is a few little nuances with it that you have to learn, such as the charge shooting, using it as a spread shot or using it concentrated. But apart from that, it is quite simple to use overall. So I'll end this video there. Any questions, just leave them in the comments below. I will answer what I can. And hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video.